What's up, everyone? Welcome to Off the Rails. We are a recovery podcast dedicated to ending the stigma of addiction through open discussion on all things recovery related. My name is Mark.
I'm Dave.
I'm Jared, and tonight we're going to be listening to Dave's story on how he got here.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm Dave. I'm 39 years old, or young, I should say. I grew up in
Young
Sault
at
Ste.
heart.
Young at heart, for sure. Grew up in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. I just recently moved back, actually, after being down in Southern Ontario from 18 to 38, really. So I guess to go back to, starting on my childhood, a pretty good childhood, really. Big family. There's 5 kids in the family. So everyone was always pretty busy. I'm the youngest of 5. But home life was good. Fortunate in a lot of ways that the road was kind of paved for me a little bit with the older siblings. So that was good as far as, not getting into too much trouble with my parents and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think I was pretty respectful with them when I was younger, just because I also had my siblings that would kick my ass too if I kind of got out of line. Home life was good. Pretty functional. Nothing's perfect, but no real complaints on my childhood at home anyway. Growing up in school and stuff like that, in like elementary school, I was a smaller kid. Kind of a late bloomer, so I was kind of an easy target to kind of get picked on a little bit, which didn't really affect me, as an adult now looking back. At the time, it definitely did. I had a lot of good friends, a lot of good buddies and stuff like that, but I was an easy target, and I was a bit of a suck, to be quite honest, and I would have probably picked on me too back then. So it is what it is, but that's kind of how it was. I was a late bloomer. So even in high school, I was smaller. I didn't really grow until like summer of grade 10. I started drinking in grade 9. First drink, a couple Mike Hard lemonade, or I got a 4-pack of Mike's Hard lemonade.
Classic.
Like the big wheel I was. I had those throughout high school. Nothing crazy, go to some parties here and there. I was a bit of a homebody sometimes as well. I had a couple of good buddies that we just, kind of chill sometimes and not go out, or we'd go to some parties. Where I worked in the summertime towards the end of, I guess, middle of high school, I was working with a lot of older people that were of age. So I started, the spring and summertime, I was probably drinking a lot more. We worked like 6 days on, 8 days off, and we're outside of the Sioux, so we kind of lived there for 6 days. Things were really strict when we were there. The guy ran a really tight ship, borderline abusive, but he taught us how to work. But on our days off, we had 8 days, so we kind of enjoyed some good times and drinking. But again, nothing I thought was too excessive. When you're young like that, I don't think anyone thinks they're drinking too much. So that was kind of high school. Going to college, I went to college in Oshawa, Ontario. Big shout out to the Schwa. Was there for 2 years. Had some good buddies. Same kind of thing. Drank. Nothing too crazy. Didn't really feel like I fit in too much. I don't know if it's because I was a big northern boy and no one else was from up there. I don't know what it was, but yes, circling back a little bit, I smoked a bit of pot in high school, but nothing too much. I didn't start really smoking a little bit more until I lived with a buddy a couple years after school, and we would get high quite a bit, and then I stopped that. And then over the years, I haven't really smoked much pot since then. I found myself just super unmotivated when I was doing it a lot back then with him, and I was able to cut that out. But I guess I drank a lot more, so I don't know which one would have been better to do, but in hindsight. But yeah, so kind of going off here.
Dave, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So you said in college you started, you were still drinking a bit. What did drinking look like then? Was it just like a weekend thing or?
Yeah, it was pretty much weekends in college, and then like your pub nights, whatever night. I think that was like a Wednesday night.
Okay, yeah.
Occasionally go for a couple beers and play. Like Golden Tea was big back then. I remember going to the bar, playing Golden Tea, having a couple pints, but like wasn't getting bombed every night or anything. It was usually like, I think it was a Wednesday night or Thursday night. Doesn't really matter. It was our like pub night, and then like Friday, Saturday usually.
Yeah.
So nothing. I don't know. It was just typical universities, I guess, college kind of lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So right out of there, I started working actually full time in Richmond Hill, Ontario, and I got that placement my last year of college. So I was a co-op student, and then I got hired on full time. So I was 19, living on my own apartment in kind of a bigger city, and on my own. So I mean, I was just kind of doing my own thing, wheeling around. I had two of my sisters were in Toronto. It was about a half an hour away, so I could go visit them and stuff like that. So I still had family close by. And at that point too, I wasn't really, I don't think, over excessive of drinking or anything like that. And then I meet a couple buddies that are like hockey players playing like college hockey. Eventually go on to kind of play semi-pro hockey. And really clicked with them. It was a good group of guys, very welcoming, hanging out with them and stuff like that. But it was kind of going back to like almost like college, university days when you're like they come home from college or playing hockey, pro hockey, and we have a good time. We party for a lot of the spring and summer, and then they go back to play, and then I'm kind of like working full time and kind of like drinking on my own a little bit at that point now. So that was like early 20s. So then after I lived with the buddy after college for a year, I lived with my sister for 5 years. That was pretty good. She's a year older than me. We have a really good relationship. We got along well. A few fights here and there, nothing serious. At that point, drinking, but nothing I don't think was too crazy. I think it started to kind of go a little bit south when she moved back to the Sioux and I got an apartment on my own. I got a basement apartment a little bit closer to work. So now I'm living on my own. I'm about, I don't know how old I am, 25, 26. And I don't know if you guys have ever lived in a basement apartment on your own, but it gets to be a little depressing pretty quick. So I would be drinking by myself, but then I'd also find myself like not wanting to, be home because it's like depressing. So there was a bar close by down the street. I would spend a lot of time there, having a lot of pints, and I knew all the waitresses, and I didn't even care to talk to other people. And in fact, sometimes when like guys would try to talk to me, like local people or whatever, I was like pretty short. Like I was just there to kind of say I was out of the house and drink really. So I lived there for 5 years. So I did that quite a bit. At this point, I'm starting to coach AAA hockey. So my time is basically like working full time, coaching 4 or 5 nights a week, and drinking really. And I was like head coach. So I took things really hard. I wanted the best for the kids. So whenever like we didn't have a good practice or we didn't have a good game, like I kind of took it to heart, and maybe like drank my sorrows with that a little bit. And then when we did win, it was like celebratory. So no matter what happened, I was usually having some drinks, either on my own or with the coaching staff. I do remember, so around when I was 29, so around your guys' age, I stopped drinking for 3 months. I went to that one bar I was talking about, and they were going to close. So I went to another one that was close by because I wasn't done. And I had a training camp with my 8-year-old hockey team. Day one, first day was the next day. And I'm out way too late. And I get into a fight with a guy on the patio. It wasn't really a fight. The guy just one punched me and gave me a black eye. And I probably deserved it. I don't remember what it was about, but I was probably being annoying. And so he punched me. and I went home, and I was late the next morning for training camp, not by a lot, but I had to come in with these 8-year-olds that are like, look at their new coach with a freaking black eye, make up some story. Like,
Smelling
it was
like booze.
probably smell like booze, but thinking I don't, right? So that was pretty embarrassing. So like that kind of got me to stop for pretty much 3 months. I think I went like September, October, November is my month of my birthday. So I know my 30th I was sober for. And then around Christmas, I had a couple beers, and then like New Year's, I had a couple, and then I was just right back to, after that, I was kind of right back to drinking a lot. So that was like indirectly the 5 years where I lived on my own in that basement apartment. In some order, I might mix up the order a little bit there, but so then I buy a house with a buddy I'm coaching with in Barrie. For people that don't know, that's about 45 minutes from Richmond Hill. An hour north of Toronto. So we get a place there. I'm still working by like York University at Canland Ice Sports, still coaching down in Richmond Hill. So I'm commuting every day, but got a house up there to kind of get in the market. And it was really only place I could afford, and he could afford, because houses are so expensive down there. So we get a place up there. So busy on the road a lot. For the first 8 months, while I was still working at Canland, again, I was just like driving back and forth, working, coaching, and having some beers, but kind of in a decent routine. Like, guy I moved in with, we started going to the gym a little bit. Like, we would drink a little bit, but smoke a bit of pot, but like it wasn't crazy, I would say. And then I got a job managing a rink in Barrie, so that kind of cleaned up my act a little bit. More responsibility. I was a general manager. People were looking up to me. I felt like it was more responsibility. So again, I still drinking a decent amount, but nothing to the point I was before I went to rehab. And I'm still coaching down in Richmond Hill at this point. So I'm still driving 40 minutes to practice games 4 or 5 times a week, because I like the kids. So I wanted to stay down there and continue to work with them. So yeah, kind of doing that. After about a year working there, I meet a girl. There were some other relationships in there before that. Maybe get into another time, but like, meet this girl. She's younger than me, so it's kind of quiet. Like, she just doesn't really tell her parents, because she's like 10 years younger than me. So maybe a bit embarrassed about the old man. I don't know, rightfully so. But so we're dating a little bit, and then I find out my brother gets diagnosed with cancer. So my brother is 10 years older than me. So this was in November, like late November. He finds out. He does his chemo treatment on Christmas Eve, his first chemo treatment Christmas Eve. And he passed away 6 months later. So kind of in a new relationship at this point. So not hanging out all the time, So I was drinking a lot to kind of suppress emotions about what my brother's going through. Family kind of hid it from me a little bit, how serious it was. Like, it was type 4B. And I didn't really know that until a little bit later on. I think they just knew they didn't want to worry me too much. But so during that 6 months, it's winter time. I went back home a couple times, and then towards the spring, I was fortunate enough that my bosses, the owners of the rink, are awesome people, and allowed me to kind of go back and forth. So I'd go home to the Sioux, visit family, visit my brother for like a week, and then go back to work, and then for a week, and then I was going back and forth. I don't know how many times I did that, but it was pretty cool of them to allow me to do that. And I can't say enough good things about them. But anyway, so my brother passes away, and with this girl, so she kind of like is there for me a little bit, kind of keeps it together. Relationship's going pretty good for a while. Probably like a year and a half later, she's pretty much moved into the house. She lived in town, so she would spend like maybe a night with her parents, whether they were super close family. But then we get a dog, and 2 months later she moves out. And then I think, at this point I was drinking a lot when she wasn't around, drinking a little bit when she was around, so I was kind of hiding it. And then after this point, I think that's kind of where I started to really start to drink a lot, just kind of like losing my brother. And then I kind of, suppressed it a little bit, and then losing her and stuff like that. And I played the victim card a little bit, I think, at the time with the relationship thing with her. Looking back, like I wasn't really doing a lot of things I should be. And she was definitely probably in the right to not be happy in the relationship and how it was going. Right. So it is what it is. But so now I'm just like living there. My buddy's around, but the guy I'm living with, he's like a workaholic. So he's like always gone. He's either coaching or working. So like a lot of times I'm home alone and I'm boozing quite a bit. I just moved up to Barrie. So like I don't have a lot of close buddies. They're all kind of all over Ontario, spread out. At this point, they kind of all have families going and stuff like that too. Don't really want to hang out from people at work because I'm like their boss. So I was kind of alone a little bit in that regard. So so I'm drinking quite a bit at that point. I don't know if you guys got any questions here. I guess here my notes are. I know where I'm at.
So you're saying quite a bit. It's just like a daily occurrence now, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one more question. I know a lot of times sports and drinking go hand in hand. Did you find like your position with the rink kind of like put you in a position like where you were more tempted to drink on like a regular basis?
Not so much to do with the rink and working. Like I worked pretty hard for that place, and like the rink didn't have like a restaurant or anything upstairs. More like a training facility.
Yeah.
So there was never really that temptation there. It was more after coaching, right? Like after games, like you're with the coaching staff, let's go for a beer, have a couple of beers, have a bite to eat, and then I'm hitting the LCBO on the way home, and I just keep drinking. And I think that's a lot of it too. Like I don't know how you guys feel too, but like I hit it quite a bit from my good friends and family, my drinking, and they're like, I didn't realize there was a problem, but like it's like I would drink with them on weekends or go to parties and stuff, and then they go kind of home and they like don't drink for during the week, but I'm still drinking all week, and then it's like you see them again on the weekend and you're drinking again, and it's like they only see you when they're drinking, so they don't think it's maybe as serious as it is. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I got friends who like didn't think I had a problem at the time, and that's because I was hiding from them as well, right? Yeah,
and I was like, and the guy I lived with, like he was probably one of the only people that knew how much I was drinking, because he would get presents from like parents he coached their kids, like wine and different alcohol, and I would like finish my beers and then didn't have anything left, and I'd be like tapping into his drinks that are like in the wine fridge or whatever, and I'm like, I'll just take a little bit, he won't really notice, I'll just take a little bit more, and the next thing the bottle's gone. And he was actually really good about it. I probably owe him a few bucks, but anyway. So that was kind of that. And then I lived with him for 5 years. Our mortgage was coming up, and I kind of wanted my own space. We got along. We were good buddies. We didn't really see each other much based on how much we were both working and coaching. But I was like 38 years old, 37 years old. I kind of wanted my own space and not live with another dude, right? So he bought me out. He bought me out of the house, and I ended up buying another place on my own. There were 6 months in between there where I lived with a guy I was coaching with, a good buddy of mine, and his wife. And that was the year kind of pandemic hit. So like I got the house, so I'm living with them. I moved in with them in December. I didn't get my place until June, I think. So like we went through like the start of the pandemic together, which was kind of fun. But then like I started like, even at their house, I started isolating. Like I was like go to my room, like drink by myself, and my work was shut down. Like, so we shut down for 2 months, obviously, because you couldn't have any sports at the time and all that. Yeah, so I was hiding from them, the drinking and stuff. Sorry, guys.
Isn't it stressful hiding things?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the worst.
I do not miss that at all.
No, me neither.
Yeah, so anyway, so like pandemic, like at the start of it, I think I was doing pretty good. Actually, no, that's a lie. I was not. I was like, the rig was shut down. I was going in to like do repairs and like working like four.
Yeah, psych, I wasn't.
I'd go in like as I was working, like fixing the boards or painting. I was having a couple beers. The rink's closed, so I'd have a couple beers and then like go home and just pound a bunch. I was mainly like beer guy, and then like I'd have like vodka and stuff like that as well. And at some point after having a bunch of beers, I'd have whatever was available, like wine and Pepsi, because I hated red wine, so I'd like mix it with Pepsi. It's kind of gross.
Sorry, I'm just laughing because I haven't heard half of it.
No, I know.
Yeah, that's a yikes. Why? Oh,
yeah.
what was your go-to hide and drink?
Definitely like towards the end. So I didn't really have, the thing is like I didn't have to hide. Like I lived on my own like for a lot of my life. So I didn't really have to hide it very much from anybody, right? Like so. But when I moved back home, I was putting vodka and Gatorades and BioSteel and stuff like that. Like it was just easy.
That was my go-to.
Yeah, like, and that's kind of why I went to vodka. Like, it,
easy to hide. That's when I went down a slippery slope, when I started hiding it.
Yeah, the beer cans don't add up like crazy, right? Like, you can just kind of hide the bottle somewhere. Like, I'll get into like where I was dumping those after, but so I so like I get the house. So now I'm like living in the base because I rented out the top part of the house, and so I had the basement, I had the backyard, I had my dog, so it was good. But now I found myself again back to how I was when I lived on my own in the other basement apartment. I was kind of like depressed when I was down there. I even think my dog was getting depressed, so like I'd try to spend as much time in the backyard as I could and like hanging out. And then like it was just like, I know Marky had said like the pandemic kind of put gasoline on it. I think it was like probably my brother passing with suppressing that kind of started it, and then definitely the pandemic was like another match to it, where I was like drinking quite a bit, like every day.
Yeah.
A lot every day. But I was still going, like when we opened back up for like a couple months, and then we get shut down, and we open up for like 4 months, get shut down. When we were open, I was working a shit ton of hours, and I was getting my job done. I was working pretty hard. So maybe justifying it again a little bit on like, kind of like you guys said before, like I reward myself every night with a bunch of beers. And if I ran out, I was spending a lot of money on skip the dishes, just ordering the cheapest thing on the menu and then getting like 6 beers. I remember the first time I ever called to do that. I did it on my phone.
And
I've never done that.
No.
No.
Incredible. I didn't.
So the first time I did it, I ordered 6 beers. It was on my phone, and I get a phone call, and they're like, "It's so and so." I can't remember where I called. It's so and so calling. You have to order some food. You can't just order alcohol. And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I ordered like an appetizer or something.
Small fries.
A small fry. 18 beers, please.
Yeah. How much is it? Oh man, that's hilarious. How much is our 6 beer on Skip the Dishes?
It's like $5 a beer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not smart. You should probably just buy enough at the LCBO. But you know, yeah, you go to the beer store or LCBO or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, I'm only gonna get 12 to 14 tall boys because like that'll be good. You know, I won't have to, that'll be set me up for the night. And then like you finish those, or you have like only 1 or 2 left, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna order Skip the Dishes so I don't run out. And then sometimes I won't even drink those ones. Like offer Skip the Dishes, but I had them just in case. So, anyways, get back on track here.
Yeah.
Shout out
So-
Skip the Dishes.
What's that?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah, I think they should definitely sponsor us.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
But for food though.
yeah, for food, absolutely. So I had this house for just about a year, and I decided I got to quit my job, sell my house, and move back home to the Sioux. And it was kind of a bit of like a impulse decision in a way, but at the same time, it wasn't. Like it's something I've always thought about over the years. But I didn't really talk to anybody about it until like I did it. Like I called my real estate agent before I even told my parents. I was like, and then I called them. I told my parents, I'm like, I'm moving home. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah. Like, you sure? I'm like, yeah. And they didn't seem super excited, but I think it was just they were kind of shocked. But yeah, I definitely don't regret it because I love it up here. But it was a tough conversation with the owners. I mean, they were awesome to me, and they were great people. So that was tough. But other than that, and some good friends, obviously, in Barrie. But other than that, I was thinking at the time, move back home, closer to family. I'll have a better routine. I won't drink as much. Like I'll be close to family, and I won't be able to do that, right? And then I moved home in June. My parents retired out to the cottage, so we're on Lake Superior. So I move into like the cabin there, like the bunkhouse there, separate house, like bunk area. And it's summertime, so it's like an excuse every day to drink, right? It's nice weather, people are around, family's visiting, sisters are up for the weekend. I had like a bunch of buddies come up at different time to come visit. And it was awesome. And then I did notice, that's when I started to notice like really hiding it because I had to now, like I was around family, and that's when I started to like get vodka and put it into Gatorades or a Coke or whatever. And so I'd have beers up the bunkhouse, and I would drink like some vodka, Gatorades or whatever when I was around my parents or like people during the day. So they didn't think I was drinking all day. And then I'd go up to the bunkhouse on my own and pound back a bunch of beers. So that was like throughout the summer. And then after the summer, around September, I'm still doing it. And then I started playing hockey again, coaching hockey, which is awesome. Coaching this, helping out with this minor hockey team, which is a lot of fun. But I feel like shit when I'm on the ice. And I started playing hockey for the first time in a while because when I was down south, I didn't have a lot of time to play because I was working at the rink coaching, and I didn't really want to be on the ice anymore. So I remember like, okay, I'm not going to drink as much now. I'm going to get back into shape. I'm going to start playing hockey. And I started playing. I feel like shit. I feel like garbage on the ice. And I'm still drinking a lot, even though summer's over. And I said I'd clean up my act after the summer. And it got to the point where, like, just as an example, so you can kind of understand. I think I told you guys this one, but like I had practice with these kids 9 to 10 o'clock at night on a Monday, and I played hockey on Tuesday at 4. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to drink today. It's Monday. I got practice 9 to 10. I can hold off till then. All right. Like after 10 o'clock, I should be able to go to bed. No problem. Wake up the next day, feel good, play hockey, have a good day. Well, I'm driving into town because the cottage is like half an hour to the Sioux. I'm driving into practice, and I get that itch of like, I better stop at the LCBO, just the worst feeling ever is like not being able to get booze because the LCBO is closed. Like that anxiety is like crazy. I'm sure a lot of people can relate, but like, so I'm like, okay, I'll stop and get a 26er and like, I'll have that. So if I, have to have a drink to feel all right after practice, it'll be good. So go to practice 9 to 10, get to my sister around 10:30, get to her place, and I have like a big bottle and I have water, BioSteel, and I'm drinking, talking to my brother-in-law. He goes to bed. I go downstairs and I finish off the 26er and like, I don't know, by 12:30, maybe. I don't really remember going to bed. And I wake up, feel like shit. I pissed on their floor at night. Like, don't even remember that. I have to clean that up. Trying to hide. Go to hockey, play hockey at 4, and it was the worst I ever felt. I thought I was gonna have a heart attack for real. Like, it was so bad. And I was like, this is terrible. So then I finished the game. And what do? I go upstairs and have like 3 pints after with the boys. Drive home. On way home, stop at the LCBO, get a 26er so I could drink when I get back to the cottage. So it was like, that's kind of like the cycle of, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, of like, I'm not drinking, like Jared was saying to, I'm not going to drink today. And then it's like
terrible.
Yeah.
And it's the worst, man. And so that's kind of at the point where I called a buddy. I gotta say buddy, like, it's close. I would consider him a close friend now. He's kind of someone I just met over the years through the hockey business, who's been through he's been through rehab. And I talked to actually 8 years ago when I was drinking a lot as well. So I reached out to him then. That's when I got punched in the face. I thought maybe I had a drinking problem, but that's when I went 3 months. So I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this. And then basically waste 8 years of continuing it. Right. So, anyways, I called him and I talked to him about it, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go. He said, call me tomorrow. So I think about it. I call him like, yeah, I think I'm going to go. He's like, okay, we'll talk to your family and stuff. And so I talked to my one sister, and then I tell my dad one night. I told him when I was drunk. But I think I was like, I need to go. And my sister was playing devil advocate. She's like, well, you could probably do it here and go to some meetings in town and stuff like that. And you know what, maybe I could have got it under control doing that. I don't know. But that was available to me my whole life, and I never did it. So I was looking at this as an opportunity. Like, I'm not working right now. I sold my house, so I have a little bit of money I can spend on myself, better myself. If this works, I'm going to save that money and not drink it. Like, I'll make that money back in no time from not spending money on alcohol. So I thought it was the best way for me to do it. So then I told my mom as well, and they were super happy. They, again, like my siblings, like my one sister knows I probably drink a little bit more than I should, and maybe more than the other ones knew. But my parents, they knew something was up with me. They kind of just thought I was depressed because I was kind of just I was a shell of a person, right? I was just kind of going through the motions when I was around people. I was hungover every day, like not like headache and all that, just feeling like garbage. Like I had a small window of after I have maybe 2 or 3 drinks where I feel pretty good, and then it's like you get more into it now, I just feel depressed again, right? So that's when I went to Newgate, and I was fortunate enough that I drove myself to Barrie, stayed at a buddy's, and then the guy I was talking about, hopefully we'll have him on as a guest maybe one time. He drove me from Toronto to Ottawa, and I was fortunate that he drove me because I was playing like I'm fine. Maybe I don't need to go, like all these mind games with myself, on top of being scared and anxiety about going. But he really kind of calmed me down and like shared his experience. And I think that was super beneficial for me because I was able to get comfortable in the house, like probably a lot quicker than I would have if I didn't have him to bring me. So that was, that was good. I still didn't want to walk in the door when I got there, I'll tell you that. But at least once I got in there, I kind of felt a little bit more comfortable. And yeah, man, that month was like a great experience. It was friggin' awesome. Probably the best month of my life. Had some really good times drinking, but nothing beats that month of sobriety in there. It was really dope. So dope's not really a word I use a lot. I think Mark's rubbing off on me a little bit. That's a Markism. But
Say that.
yeah, so that's kind of, I don't know, that's like in a nutshell, like to the point of rehab. Now I'm back in the suit. It's been 3 months sober now, just over 3 months, I guess. So 2 months since I left Newgate. I don't know how you guys feel, but like I feel like time still goes fast, but like I feel like it's gone a lot slower. Like time's been like, does that make sense? It feels like I feel like I felt like that was like 6 months ago that we were there.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. And I think that's just because you're more present more of the time and appreciating life a little bit more. You know, and like one day at a time always kind of scared me too. But now it's like when you're living like life every day, and it's a lot more happy, and you know, one day at a time is cool because it's like you get to live one day at a time. Like you get to actually experience, you know, a good life one day at a time, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, and like active addiction, I used to think like the one day at a time thing was bullshit, because I'd be like, one day at a time, fuck it, I'm getting high, you know. And
Well,
but then like, I didn't really understand what it meant. But like, just take sobriety one day at a time, man. And days just add up. Really, that's how
it's like, yeah. The thing that scared me too is like, man, you gotta think about that every day. Like,
yeah,
like that's like one day at a time. Like every day you're gonna be like one day at a time, one day at a time. It's like it's not really like that, right? But
no.
I find like I'm like very impatient, so I'm like, oh, I just want to get to like 3 months. I just want to get to 4 months. Is it a year yet? But you gotta, just take her slow.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's cool when you hit those milestones, though, man. Like every month is wicked.
Oh, I know. It feels like fucking awesome.
Yeah, but man, I think it seems longer too, man, because like you're actually, like you mentioned, you're present throughout the day. You know what I'm saying? Like you remember the days.
yeah,
That's cool.
absolutely.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, go to bed like remembering going to bed, or like it's kind of cool feeling too. Like I never, like for a while there, I would never remember going to sleep. Like I wake up and it's like I don't remember the last. Like Jared said he had a lot of blackouts. I had a ton of blackouts too. And I mean, I'm sure we'll get into a bunch more stories. Like that was just kind of like maybe a snippet of like my life, kind of whatever. I don't know. There's more like things that happen, more relationships, more jobs and different stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know what I was going there, to be honest with you. But
no, as the podcast goes on, there'll be lots of stories shared.
Yeah.
I had a couple questions for you. One was like, when you got back home, do you find your relationships, like the quality of your relationships with your family, got better?
Oh yeah, like when I got home from Newgate.
Yeah.
Actually, that's one thing I was gonna say is like, that's definitely a reason why. That's partial of reason why I went to Newgate as well. It's just feeling like that loss of connection. Like my sister's got two young twin 2-year-olds and a 7-year-old, all boys, that now like I said I was moving home to get close and watch them grow up. And I was around when I was drinking and I was like not really there. I'm not really a fun uncle at all. Like I'm kind of just, like you said, not present. And now I would say like now that I've been home, I mean, that's the other thing. I think you got to not beat yourself up a bit when like I think I've been a lot better, probably not perfect by any means in any of my relationships since I've been home, but like so much better. And it's only been 3 months, right? So I think like I know myself, when like my big thing has been like communication and talking more and open and sharing with like my family and stuff. And I think I've been doing a better job of that. But I think also when I don't maybe share all the time or whatever, not beat myself up and be like, oh, you got to do that or whatever, right? Like know that you're making progress. And it's only been 3 months of being sober compared to like 25 years of the last of my life really being heavily impacted by drinking, right? So yeah, that's kind of that.
That's well said.
Have you been enjoying going to meetings and stuff like that?
To be honest, lately I haven't been. I really did when I first came back. I really enjoyed them. I would say around just before the holidays, I found myself kind of negative towards them. Not really sure why. Maybe it was my headspace.
Holidays.
It's the holidays. Yeah, like I found it kind of like
time of the year.
Yeah, I kind of found myself kind of, and maybe I was just in a bad space. Yeah, like altogether, and it was just like I just had a bad outlook on it. I will say though, excuse me, the last couple I went to, I have felt a little better after leaving and stuff like that. So I would say there was like probably like 2.5 weeks where I was like, yeah, I really not liking this. There's still parts of them that I'm like don't super enjoy. Like I don't like the start of them really. I don't know if anyone really does. Like reading the same thing every day you go.
I love it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're hardcore though. Like good for you.
Oh man. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Love it.
Yeah, I like them too, man. I don't know if I love all of it.
I go twice a day if I could.
Yeah, I do really enjoy the meetings. You do AA meetings, right, Jerry?
Yeah, it's cool being around people that are just like you.
Yeah, I agree, man. And you don't feel just completely batshit crazy.
Yeah. Little bit crazy.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Dave, what do you think is the single best thing about like being sober?
The single best thing?
Yeah.
I would say probably like being more present, like we were saying. I think that was something I was really striving to look for, that was lost. Yeah, I would think that's gotta be it. Just laughing. I would say also like just laughing a little bit more. Like I don't know if I ever laughed while sober in the last, I don't know how many years, right? I didn't really have, I mean, there was probably here and there, but like, I mean, most of the good times and stuff like that were after a couple of drinks or whatever. But that was kind of the cool thing I found about rehab too, was like no cell phones. Obviously we're all sober in there and having some friggin' like laughs that like out of control.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, there's some good ones.
Oh yeah, that game we invented, hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know who I was telling. I told that story about that game to someone. I think it might have been my sister the other day actually, and she was like, "What?" I was like, "Well, we were a little short on entertainment in there. Like, come on, that one we threw
throwing the pillow."
It started off with like throwing like that jar of cream, and then like
bum cream. Were you gone for that share?
Probably.
No, he was there at the start. It escalated after he left, though. Yeah. I think.
Well, I missed all the good shit.
No, it wasn't. It was like we were missing your entertainment. That was the problem. So we had to make up our own very juvenile game.
Yeah, I found using, man, like I don't know, like I just like I didn't think it was possible to have fun sober. And it's simply just bullshit. Because I've had way more fun in the last like 4 months than the handful of times I had in the previous years,
Yeah, man. Like even I thought about it too over the holidays. Like we were playing a game at Christmas. My sisters were there, my brother-in-law, my parents, and at the cottage. And it was like none of us were drinking, and we're playing like telestrations after dark. So it was like, man, I was dying laughing, and everyone was laughing, and I remember sitting there and being like, I don't even think I'd be like, I probably wouldn't even be laughing if I was drinking at the point I was at, because I was like, I get so many deep in me where I was just like kind of depressed, like
Depressed, trying to hide how like fucked up you are, and
yeah.
that's what I was like.
So, but yeah, boys. So that was that. I don't know if you got any other questions for me, but
and that was you did an incredible job.
Sorry, I yawned a couple times.
What's that?
Sorry, I yawned a couple times.
No, I'm used to it, man.
Dude,
No,
you're a working man. You don't got to complain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's
All
great,
right.
man.
Well, that is it for this episode. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on our show, hit us up in the comments or contact info below.